Aleph, Lam, Ra. These are messages of a revelation clear in itself and clearly showing the truth. Behold, we have bestowed it from on high as a discourse in the Arabic tongue, so that you might encompass it with your reason. In the measure that we reveal this Quran unto thee, O Prophet, we explain it to thee in the best possible way, seeing that ere this thou wert indeed among those who are unaware of what revelation is. Lo, thus spoke Joseph unto his father, O my father, behold, I saw, in a dream, 11 stars, as well as the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrate themselves before me. Quote, Jacob replied, O my dear son, do not relate thy dream to thy brothers lest, out of envy, they devise an evil scheme against thee. Verily, Satan is man's open foe. For, as thou hast been shown in thy dream, even thus will thy sustainer elect thee, and will impart unto thee some understanding of the inner meaning of happenings, and will bestow the full measure of his blessings upon thee and upon the house of Jacob, even as, aforetime, he bestowed it in full measure upon thy forefathers Abraham and Isaac. Verily, thy sustainer is all-knowing, wise. Quote, indeed, in the story of Joseph and his brothers there are messages for all who search after truth. Now, Joseph's brothers spoke thus to one another, truly, Joseph and his brother Benjamin are dearer to our father than we, even though we are so many. Behold, our father is surely suffering from an aberration. Quote, said one of them, slay Joseph, or else drive him away to some faraway land, so that your father's regard may be for you alone. And after this is done, you will be free to repent and to live once again as righteous people. Quote, another of them said, do not slay Joseph, but rather, if you must do something, cast him into the dark depths of this well, whence some caravan may pick him up. On this they agreed, and thereupon they spoke thus to their father, O our father, wherefore wilt thou not trust us with Joseph, seeing that we are indeed his well-wishers? Let him go out with us tomorrow, that he may enjoy himself and play, and, verily, we shall guard him well. Quote, Jacob answered, behold, it grieves me indeed to think that you might take him with you, for I dread lest the wolf devour him at a moment when you are heedless of him. Quote, said they, surely, if the wolf were to devour him notwithstanding that we are so many, then, behold, we ought ourselves to perish. Quote, and so, when they went away with him, they decided to cast him into the dark depths of the well. And we revealed this unto him. Thou wilt yet remind them of this their deed at a time when they shall not perceive who thou art. Quote, and at nightfall they came to their father, weeping, and said, O our father, behold, we went off racing with one another, and left Joseph behind with our things. And thereupon the wolf devoured him. But we know that thou wouldst not believe us even though we speak the truth. And they produced his tunic with false blood upon it. But Jacob exclaimed, nay, but it is your own minds that have made so terrible a happening seem a matter of little account to you. But, as for myself, patience in adversity is most goodly in the sight of God, and it is to God alone that I pray to give me strength to bear the misfortune which you have described to me. And there came a caravan, and they sent forth their drawer of water, and he let down his bucket into the well. And when he saw Joseph, he exclaimed, "Oh, what a lucky find! This boy!" And they hid him with a view to selling him. But God had full knowledge of all that they were doing. And they sold him for a paltry price, a mere few silver coins, thus low did they value him. And the man from Egypt who bought him said to his wife, "Make his stay with us honorable. He may well be of use to us, or we may adopt him as a son." And thus we gave unto Joseph a firm place on earth. And we did this, so that we might impart unto him some understanding of the inner meaning of happenings. For God always prevails in whatever be his purpose, but most people know it not. And when he reached full manhood, we bestowed upon him the ability to judge between right and wrong, as well as innate knowledge. For thus do we reward the doers of good. And it so happened that she in whose house he was living conceived a passion for him and sought to make him yield himself unto her. And she bolted the doors and said, "Come thou unto me." But Joseph answered, "May God preserve me. Behold, goodly has my master made my stay in this house. Verily, to no good end come they that do such wrong." And indeed, she desired him, and he desired her, and he would have succumbed, had he not seen in this temptation an evidence of his sustainer's truth. Thus we willed it to be, in order that we might avert from him all evil and all deeds of abomination. For behold, he was truly one of our servants. And they both rushed to the door, and she grasped and rent his tunic from behind, and lo, they met her lord at the door. Said she, "What ought to be the punishment of one who had evil designs on the virtue of thy wife? What but imprisonment, or a yet more grievous chastisement?" Joseph exclaimed, "It was she who sought to make me yield myself unto her." Now one of those present, a member of her own household, suggested this. If his tunic has been torn from the front, then she is telling the truth, and he is a liar. But if his tunic has been torn from behind, then she is lying, and he is speaking the truth. And when her husband saw that his tunic was torn from behind, he said, "Behold, this is an instance of your guile, O womankind. Verily, awesome is your guile. But, Joseph, let this pass. And thou, O wife, ask forgiveness for thy sin, for verily, thou hast been greatly at fault." Now the women of the city spoke thus to one another, "The wife of this nobleman is trying to induce her slave boy to yield himself unto her. Her love for him has pierced her heart. Verily, we see that she is undoubtedly suffering from an aberration." Thereupon, when she heard of their malicious talk, she sent for them, and prepared for them a sumptuous repast, and handed each of them a knife, and said to Joseph, "Come out and show thyself to them." And when the women saw him, they were greatly amazed at his beauty, and so flustered were they that they cut their hands with their knives, exclaiming, "God save us! This is no mortal man. This is naught but a noble angel." Said she, "This, then, is he about whom you have been blaming me? And, indeed, I did try to make him yield himself unto me, but he remained chaste. Now, however, if he does not do what I bid him, he shall most certainly be imprisoned, and shall most certainly find himself among the despised." Said he, "O my sustainer, Prison is more desirable to me than compliance with what these women invite me to. 4. Unless thou turn away their guile from me, I might yet yield to their allure and become one of those who are unaware of right and wrong. And his sustainer responded to his prayer, and freed him from the threat of their guile. Verily, he alone is all-hearing, all-knowing. 4. Presently it occurred to the nobleman and his household even after they had seen all the signs of Joseph's innocence, that they might as well imprison him for a time. Now 2 young men happened to go to prison at the same time as Joseph. One of them said, Behold, I saw myself, in a dream, pressing wine. And the other said, Behold, I saw myself, in a dream, carrying bread on my head, and birds were eating thereof. And both entreated Joseph, Let us know the real meaning of this. Verily, we see that thou art one of those who know well how to interpret dreams. Joseph answered, Ere there comes unto you the meal which you are daily fed, I shall have informed you of the real meaning of your dreams, so that you might know what is to come, before it comes unto you. For this is part of the knowledge which my sustainer has imparted to me. Behold, I have left behind me the ways of people who do not believe in God, and who persistently refuse to acknowledge the truth of the life to come. And I follow the creed of my forefathers Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. It is not conceivable that we should be allowed to ascribe divinity to aught beside God. This is an outcome of God's bounty unto us and unto all mankind, but most people are ungrateful. O my companions in imprisonment, which is more reasonable? Belief in the existence of numerous divine lords, each of them different from the other, or in the one God, who holds absolute sway over all that exists. All that you worship instead of God is nothing but empty names which you have invented, you and your forefathers, and for which God has bestowed no warrant from on high. Judgment as to what is right and what is wrong rests with God alone, and He has ordained that you should worship naught but Him. This is the one ever true faith, but most people know it not. And now, O my companions in imprisonment, I shall tell you the meaning of your dreams. As for one of you two, he will again give his lord, the king, wine to drink. But as for the other, he will be crucified, and birds will eat off his head. But whatever be your future, the matter on which you have asked me to enlighten you has been decided by God. And thereupon Joseph said unto the one of the 2 whom he considered saved, Mention me unto thy Lord, when thou art free. But Satan caused him to forget to mention Joseph to his Lord, and so he remained in prison a few more years. And one day the king said, Behold, I saw in a dream 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 emaciated ones, and 7 green ears of wheat next to 7 others that were withered. O you nobles, enlighten me about the meaning of my dream, if you are able to interpret dreams. They answered, This is one of the most involved and confusing of dreams, and we have no deep knowledge of the real meaning of dreams. At that, the one of the 2 erstwhile prisoners, who had been saved, and who suddenly remembered Joseph after all that time, spoke thus, It is I who can inform you of the real meaning of this dream. So let me go in search of it. And he went to see Joseph in the prison and said to him, Joseph, O thou truthful one, enlighten us about the meaning of a dream in which 7 fat cows were being devoured by 7 emaciated ones, and 7 green ears of wheat appeared next to 7 others that were withered, so that I may return with thy explanation unto the people of the court, and that they may come to know what manner of man thou art. Joseph replied, You shall sow for 7 years as usual, but let all the grain that you harvest remain untouched in its ear, excepting only a little, whereof you may eat. For after that period of 7 good years, there will come 7 hard years, which will devour all that you shall have laid up for them, excepting only a little of that which you shall have kept in store. And after that there will come a year in which the people will be delivered from all distress, and in which they will press oil and wine as before. And as soon as Joseph's interpretation was conveyed to him, the king said, Bring him before me. But when the king's messenger came unto him, Joseph said, Go back to thy lord and ask him first to find out the truth about those women who cut their hands, for behold, until now it is my sustainer alone who has full knowledge of their guile. Thereupon the king sent for those women, and when they came, he asked, What was it that you hoped to achieve when you sought to make Joseph yield himself unto you? The women answered, God save us. We did not perceive the least evil intention on his part. And the wife of Joseph's former master exclaimed, Now has the truth come to light. It was I who sought to make him yield himself unto me, whereas he, behold, was indeed speaking the truth. When Joseph learned what had happened, he said, I asked for this, so that my former master might know that I did not betray him behind his back, and that God does not bless with his guidance the artful schemes of those who betray their trust. And yet, I am not trying to absolve myself, for, verily, man's inner self does incite him to evil, and saved are only they upon whom my sustainer bestows his grace. Behold, my sustainer is much forgiving, a dispenser of grace. And the king said, Bring him unto me, so that I may attach him to my own person. And when he had spoken with him, the king said, Behold, from this day thou shalt be of high standing with us, invested with all trust. Joseph replied, Place in my charge the storehouses of the land. Behold, I shall be a good and knowing keeper. And thus we established Joseph securely in the land of Egypt. He had full mastery over it, doing whatever he willed. Thus do we cause our grace to alight upon whomever we will, and we do not fail to requite the doors of good. But in the eyes of those who have attained to faith and have always been conscious of us, a reward in the life to come is a far greater good than any reward in this world. And after some years, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt and presented themselves before him, and he knew them at once, whereas they did not recognize him. And when he had provided them with their provisions, he said, When you come here next, bring unto me that brother of yours from your father's side. Do you not see that I have given you full measure and have been the best of hosts? But if you do not bring him unto me, you shall never again receive a single measure of grain from me, nor shall you be allowed to come near me? Quote, they answered, we shall try to persuade his father to part with him. And, verily, we shall do our utmost. Quote, and Joseph said to his servants, place their merchandise in their camel packs, so that they may find it there when they come home, and hence be the more eager to return. And so, when they returned to their father, Joseph's brothers said, O our father, all grain is to be withheld from us in the future unless we bring Benjamin with us. Send, therefore, our brother with us, so that we may obtain our measure of grain. And, verily, we shall guard him well. Quote, Jacob replied, shall I trust you with him in the same way as I trusted you with his brother? Joseph, aforetime, nay, but God's guardianship is better than yours, for he is the most merciful of the merciful. Quote, thereupon, when they opened their packs, they discovered that their merchandise had been returned to them. And they said, O our father, what more could we desire? Here is our merchandise. It has been returned to us. If thou send Benjamin with us, we shall, again, be able to bring food for our family, and shall guard our brother well, and receive in addition another camel load of grain that, which we have brought the first time, was but a scanty measure. Said Jacob, I will not send him with you until you give me a solemn pledge before God, that you will indeed bring him back unto me, unless you yourselves be encompassed by death. And when they had given him their solemn pledge, Jacob said, God is witness to all that we say. Quote, and he added, O my sons, do not enter the city all by one gate, but enter by different gates. Yet, even so, I can be of no avail whatever to you against anything that may be willed by God. Judgment as to what is to happen rests with none but God. In him have I placed my trust. For all who have trust in his existence must place their trust in him alone. But although they entered Joseph's city in the way their father had bidden them, this proved of no avail whatever to them against the plan of God. His request had served only to satisfy Jacob's heartfelt desire to protect them. For, behold, thanks to what we had imparted unto him, he was indeed endowed with the knowledge that God's will must always prevail. But most people know it not. And when the sons of Jacob presented themselves before Joseph, he drew his brother Benjamin unto himself, saying to him in secret, Behold, I am thy brother, so grieve thou not over their past doings. Quote, and later, when he had provided them with their provisions, he placed the king's drinking cup in his brother's camel pack. And, as they were leaving the city, a herald called out, O you people of the caravan, verily, you are thieves. Turning towards the herald and his companions, the brothers asked, What is it that you miss? Quote, they answered, We miss the king's goblet, and he who produces it shall receive a camel load of grain as reward. And the herald added, I pledge myself to this promise. Quote, said the brothers, By God, well do you know that we have not come to commit deeds of corruption in this land, and that we have not been thieving. Quote, the Egyptians said, But what shall be the requital of this deed, if you are proved to be liars? Quote, the brothers replied, Its requital He in whose camel pack the cup is found, he shall be enslaved as a requital thereof. Thus do we ourselves requite the doers of such wrong. Thereupon they were brought before Joseph to be searched. And he began with the bags of his half-brothers before the bag of his brother Benjamin. And in the end he brought forth the drinking cups out of his brother's bag. In this way did we contrive for Joseph the attainment of his heart's desire. Under the king's law, he would otherwise not have been able to detain his brother, had not God so willed. We do raise to high degrees of knowledge whomever we will. But above everyone who is endowed with knowledge there is one who knows all. As soon as the cup came to light out of Benjamin's bag, the brothers exclaimed, "If he has stolen well. A brother of his used to steal aforetime." Thereupon Joseph said to himself, without revealing his thought to them, "You are far worse in this respect, and God is fully aware of what you are saying." They said, "O thou great one, behold, he has a father, a very old man. Detain, therefore, one of us in his stead. Verily, we see that thou art a doer of good." Quote, he answered, "May God preserve us from the sin of detaining any other than him with whom we have found our property, for then, behold, we would indeed be evildoers." Quote, and so, when they lost all hope of moving him, they withdrew to take counsel among themselves. The eldest of them said, "Do you not remember that your father has bound you by a solemn pledge before God, and how, before that, you had failed with regard to Joseph? Hence, I shall not depart from this land till my father gives me leave, or God passes judgment in my favor. For he is the best of all judges. And as for you others, return to your father and say, O our father, behold, thy son has stolen, but we can bear witness to no more than what has become known to us. And, although we gave you our pledge, we could not guard against something that lay hidden in the future and, hence, was beyond the reach of our perception. And ask thou in the town in which we were at the time, and of the people of the caravan with whom we traveled hither, and thou wilt find that we are indeed telling the truth." Quote. And when they returned to their father and told him what had happened, he exclaimed, "Nay, but it is your own minds that have made so terrible a happening seem a matter of little account to you. But, as for myself, patience in adversity is most goodly. God may well bring them all back unto me. Verily, he alone is all-knowing, truly wise." Quote, but he turned away from them and said, "Oh, woe is me for Joseph." And his eyes became dim from the grief with which he was filled. Said his sons, "By God, thou wilt never cease to remember Joseph till thou art broken in body and spirit, or art dead." Quote, he answered, "It is only to God that I complain of my deep grief and my sorrow. For I know, from God, something that you do not know. Hence, O my sons, go forth and try to obtain some tidings of Joseph and his brother, and do not lose hope of God's life-giving mercy. Verily, none but people who deny the truth can ever lose hope of God's life-giving mercy." And the sons of Jacob went back to Egypt and to Joseph. And when they presented themselves before him, they said, "O thou great one, hardship has visited us and our folk, and so we have brought but scanty merchandise. But give us a full measure of grain, and be charitable to us. Behold, God rewards those who give in charity. Quote, replied he, do you remember what you did to Joseph and his brother when you were still unaware of right and wrong? Quote, they exclaimed, why, is it indeed thou who art Joseph? He answered, I am Joseph, and this is my brother. God has indeed been gracious unto us. Verily, if one is conscious of him and patient in adversity, behold, God does not fail to requite the doors of good. Quote, the brothers said, by God, most certainly has God raised thee high above us, and we were indeed but sinners. Quote, said he, no reproach shall be uttered today against you. May God forgive you your sins, for he is the most merciful of the merciful. And now, go and take this tunic of mine and lay it over my father's face, and he will recover his sight, and thereupon come back to me with all your family. And as soon as the caravan, with which Jacob's sons were traveling, was on its way, their father said to the people around him, behold, were it not that you might consider me a dotard, I would say that I truly feel the breath of Joseph in the air. Quote, they answered, by God, thou art indeed still lost in thy old aberration. Quote, but when the bearer of good tidings came with Joseph's tunic, he laid it over his face, and he regained his sight, and exclaimed, did I not tell you that, quote, verily, I know from God something that you do not know. Quote, his sons answered, O our father, ask God to forgive us our sins, for, verily, we were sinners. He said, I shall ask my sustainer to forgive you. He alone is truly forgiving, a true dispenser of grace. Quote, and when they all arrived in Egypt and presented themselves before Joseph, he drew his parents unto himself, saying, enter Egypt. If God so wills, you shall be secure from all evil. Quote, and he raised his parents to the highest place of honor, and they all fell down before him, prostrating themselves in adoration. Thereupon, Joseph said, O my father, this is the real meaning of my dream of long ago, which my sustainer has made come true. And he was indeed good to me when he freed me from the prison, and when he brought you all unto me from the desert after Satan had sown discord between me and my brothers. Verily, my sustainer is unfathomable in the way he brings about whatever he wills. Verily, he alone is all-knowing, truly wise. O my sustainer, thou hast indeed bestowed upon me something of power, and hast imparted unto me some knowledge of the inner meaning of happenings. Originator of the heavens and the earth, thou art near unto me in this world and in the life to come. Let me die as one who has surrendered himself unto thee, and make me one with the righteous. Quote, this account of something that was beyond the reach of thy perception we now reveal unto thee, O prophet, for thou wert not with Joseph's brothers when they resolved upon what they were going to do and wove their schemes against him. Yet, however strongly thou mayest desire it, most people will not believe in this revelation. Although thou dost not ask of them any reward for it, it is but God's reminder unto all mankind. But, then, how many a sign is there in the heavens and on earth which they pass by unthinkingly, and on which they turn their backs? And most of them do not even believe in God without also ascribing divine powers to other beings beside him. Do they, then, feel free from the fear that there might fall upon them the overwhelming terror of God's chastisement? or that the last hour might come upon them of a sudden, without their being aware of its approach. Say, O Prophet, this is my way, resting upon conscious insight accessible to reason. I am calling you all unto God, I and they who follow me. And say, limitless is God in his glory, and I am not one of those who ascribe divinity to aught beside him. Quote, and even before thy time, we never sent as our apostles any but mortal men, whom we inspired, and whom we always chose from among the people of their very communities, to whom the message was to be brought. Have, then, they who reject this divine writ never journeyed about the earth and beheld what happened in the end to those deniers of the truth who lived before them? And do they not know that to those who are conscious of God, the life in the hereafter is indeed better than this world? Will they not, then, use their reason? All the earlier apostles had to suffer persecution for a long time. But at last, when those apostles had lost all hope and saw themselves branded as liars, our succor attained to them. Whereupon everyone whom we milled to be saved was saved, and the deniers of the truth were destroyed. For never can our punishment be averted from people who are lost in sin. Indeed, in the stories of these men there is a lesson for those who are endowed with insight. As for this revelation, it could not possibly be a discourse invented by man. Nay, indeed, it is a divine writ, confirming the truth of whatever there still remains of earlier revelations, clearly spelling out everything, and offering guidance and grace unto people who will believe.